Today we're going to get into the second part of chapter 8.2. Yesterday it says we learned about the words monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial, degree. Remember that monomial with mono meaning typically one means that there's one term. Binomial, remember bicycle, bi, means that there are two terms in that. Trinomial, like tricycle, meaning that there are three terms in there. Polynomial was the general term for all of them. All of these, by the way, are polynomials. And degree was what we did whenever we counted the number of variables that were attached to the piece. We also began on working on adding polynomials, which we learned was simply like combining like terms. Today we're going to look at the importance of paying attention to detail as we work on subtracting polynomials. So overall, subtracting polynomials is the same as adding polynomials, with one exception. You have to rewrite the problem correctly before beginning to answer it. So typically, the reason why my students miss subtracting polynomial questions is because they don't like to write one little step. And because they skip that one small step, they make stupid mistakes the whole quarter or the whole unit. So as long as you're willing to take your time, which I hope you are, you will get all of these right and you won't miss any of them. It goes back to that thing I told you about the pride again. Again, these questions aren't hard. You just have to make sure you care enough to get them right. Remember the problems on yesterday's worksheet that looked like this. So you had the ones that had a negative sign outside of parentheses, and all that we had to do was distribute that negative and switch everything. So we would rewrite this as negative 4x squared plus 5x plus 6. Not hard to do, but it's just something you have to pay attention to. Same thing here. If it was a negative on the outside of 2x plus 3, we would rewrite this as negative 2x minus 3. And what I want you to realize is that these are the only new challenges, should be an S there, to today's information. As long as you do not rush through the problem and attempt to save time and space, so as long as you're not trying to get it done with the smallest amount of ink, the smallest amount of lead, you should not miss any questions at all today. You can accept small mistakes, but again, you will definitely need to speak up if you're missing almost everything, because it means that you are really not paying attention to what's going on. It would be equivalent to someone driving and not stopping at red lights and not slowing down at yellow lights and hitting pedestrians as they walk across the street. So if you are missing everything, it's because you are literally not paying attention to anything at all. And so make sure you speak up so I can try to get you back on track. Let's look at some questions today before we move on, because again, these really aren't that bad. And so what your rule is if there's a plus sign, we can ignore it, but with a minus, we want to rewrite it. So we'll simply rewrite it as 5x plus 3y. We don't need parentheses there. And then we'll write minus 8y and plus 2x. And again, we simply can put like terms together. 5x and 2x make 7x. 3y minus 8y make minus 5y. And that's all. So if you want to take your time and want to get them right, you will. If you do not want to take your time and get them right, you won't. And again, it comes down to that part where if you want to get it right, I have no sympathy if you choose to get it wrong, because they're really not that bad. Another question say something like, find the difference between this and that. Keep in mind, difference means subtract, and it means take the first thing minus the second thing. So we are looking at 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. Difference means subtract 2x squared plus 8x minus 4. Because it is negative, we can't just put them together. If that was a plus, we could, but because of that negative, we need to rewrite it. Again, this is where the people will want to rush through, but rushing through this is going to cause issues. Minus 2x squared minus 8x plus 4, so that's minus 2 minus 8 plus 4. Now we put our like terms together. 2x squared, negative 2x squared cancel out. Negative 5x, negative 8x make negative 13x. Positive 3, positive 4 make positive 7, and that is all. And so that really represents everything you need to know for this lesson. But there are applications to adding them that will be on your test, so we need to kind of consider those too. It requires that you understand the general idea behind how combining like terms works. We will spend the rest of the time in this video exploring these applications on 2 or 3 questions. Actually, I think it's just 2 with an application on another one. But again, pretty much one of the questions that you're going to look at is going to talk about the perimeter of a trapezoid being a certain amount. And then it's going to give us 3 sides. So 9a is one side, 5a plus 1 is another one, 17a minus 6 is the third. The key thing to remember here is that perimeter is what happens whenever you add all the sides up. So again, if they give me the perimeter of a trapezoid is this, that means that this is my total. So it means that my total should be 39a minus 7. Now, I'm not going to write that down algebraically, but I just need to keep in mind that this is what I should end up with. All I know for a fact is that I need to take 9a, 5a plus 1, and 17a minus 6 and add them together, because these plus whatever my fourth side should add up to 39a minus 7. And so putting these together, 9a, 5a, 17a, that makes 14. I think that's 31a plus 1 minus 6, which would be minus 5. This is where I am right now, and this is where I want to go. And so if you think about it, if I have 31 and I need to be at 39, I need 8 a's. If I have a negative 5 and I need a negative 7, I need 2 more negatives. So that has to be my fourth side, 8a minus 2. Because again, 31a plus 8a is 39a, negative 5, negative 2 makes negative 7. That's all you have to do. So again, it's identifying the total. Don't really use it for anything. Add up the sides and try to determine what's missing that makes this look like the other one. So again, that's a question you're going to see on the test. It's a question you're going to see today. Do your best on it and see how it works out. Another one you're going to have is a true application. You're talking about a rectangular pool with certain dimensions, and that the owner decides to make a border around that pool that's x feet, which we don't know how big it is, and we want a simplified expression for the perimeter of the border. So again, perimeter means we want the outside distance around the border, and so the best way to answer this is to just draw a cheap picture of the pool, which is 16 by 20. And what we will do now is we will make this border. So the border is going to be the same distance around the whole pool. And so just kind of draw a cheap sketch of a border. And what you have to understand is that this distance is going to be x. Just like this distance is also going to be x, because we don't know how wide it is, but we do know they added x feet to the side. Also, this side here is going to be x, and this side here is going to be x. We also magnified it going this way, which is x feet, and this way, which is also x feet, and this way, which is x feet, and also that way, which is x feet. So you have a whole bunch of x's in this problem that you need to consider. Now, in terms of it, this is your pool, but the border that goes around the pool is what we're looking at. And so when you go to look at the distance of this whole thing, you are looking at x plus 16 plus x. Again, looking at that, we have x plus 16 plus x, which would be 16 plus 2x going across. That's our new distance. Again, 16 is here, plus a x makes 2x. Should be the same thing down here, x plus 16 plus x, which is again 16 plus 2x. The distance going up is a x plus a 20 plus another x, which is 20 plus 2x, which should be the same over here, which is another x plus a 20 plus another x, which is another 20 plus 2x. And so what they want is just a simplify, which means combine your like terms for the perimeter. And so for perimeter, remember, you add all these up, so we'll put 16 plus 2x plus 20 plus 2x plus 16 plus 2x plus 20 plus 2x and put all those together. And that's really not that bad. It's just a lot of numbers. 16, 20, 16, and 20 all add up to make 16 plus 20 plus 16 plus 20, which makes 72, plus 2, 4, 6, 8, x. That would be your simplified expression for the perimeter. So again, it's not so bad. You just have to make sure you understand how to convert from the original dimensions to your border's dimensions. The next part just is application on this. It says if the owner decides on a 5-foot border, what would the actual perimeter be? Well, all we have to do if we want a 5-foot border, remember we didn't know what the border was, is put 5 in for x. That would be take 72 plus 8 times 5, which becomes 72 plus 40, which makes your border 112 feet. So keep in mind, these questions will be there. They're there for your practice, not to just confuse you or frustrate you, but you need to try it out and see how close you can get before you just copy the answer down. The classroom practice will work best if you work the problems in order. I plan the questions in such a way that you practice new information, also recent information and older information in a certain sequence. I usually start out with what's brand new, and then I kind of throw something from maybe yesterday and then something from the day before, so you kind of keep going from there. Remember that the answers are on the back wall to guide your learning, not for you to copy off of. And like I said, we've got a quiz coming up this week, and you'll have a day on the computers to work on this stuff tomorrow. So good luck.